Yeah, we are going to go ahead and move on because one of the things, um, you know, on the field, obviously we have stuff off the field that we have different issues. But one of the issues that we've had is our stadium. You know, we're trying to get a new stadium, as you've seen, ladies and gentlemen, as we've all seen. We've been the butt of everybody's jokes. The sewage leakage in the stadium, the railings fell off, almost trampled Jalen Hurts.
Fan takeover.
Fan takeovers. I
Closing
mean,
teams. Yeah.
yeah. We are the lowest. We're the second worst home attendance, second only to guess who? My baby's Detroit Lions. So that's not good company.
That household, man. You guys have some very lonely falls.
Oh yes,
for football.
How bad did you lose today? Oh yeah, oh that much. Oh, you lost at the last second. Oh yeah,
mm-hmm.
Back and forth. But so there are talks about it. Obviously, we heard they put the $100 million into getting the plot of land. They're looking at Virginia. They're looking at a stadium. There have been conversations about it. Obviously, a 55,000 seat stadium, which would be a little less than RFK.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean?
It would be. Mm-hmm.
A smaller stadium, but when you see kind of the side, that we're the second worst in home attendance, well, okay, let's get it. It's looking interesting. I'm going to go ahead and put this up. This is kind of early mocks. Obviously, this is not what it would be. Well, who knows? We'll see what it looks like. But it looks kind of, I like the dynamic. And one of the things they're looking at is making it kind of like a little city where you have other different events and venues around there that you can come in there, and then you can use the stadium for like the Super Bowl or different championships or this and that. So let's start right there with the opportunity, the option to have this. Some of these things look actually pretty nice. It'd be pretty intriguing to have that. What do you think?
Yeah, let's start with some positive news for you.
Right, before we get
right. Yeah, so they've got the right idea of they're going to put it in it's going to be a dome. Okay, so that means you're going to be eligible for a Super Bowl, which is going to bring in revenue. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, I actually support this idea that the stadium's going to be 55,000 or even like maybe a little less. Yeah. I think the gone are the days of these 80,000 seat stadiums because technology has changed. Yeah. And the big critic of Jack Kent Cooke, when he built that stadium in Landover, is the fact that he modeled it off of Giants Stadium, who they were already building a new stadium, and we modeled a brand new stadium off of it. It was an old concept. And so I think this is smart that they're saying, hey, not just because we struggle with fans, but because we see where the game's going and people are watching at bars and on TV, or at some point they're just going to be watching on their phones, maybe. Everything's mobile. And so going to the game and spending that much time is becoming less and less of a priority for people, and so that's important. And like you said, what they're looking to do is build this little city. They're essentially copying what happened in Dallas. And Dallas went way out into the suburbs as well to build up. And the name is escaping me. It's because it's even past Plano, I believe, in Dallas. So it's pretty far out there. But they built headquarters. They built condos and apartments nearby. There's shops, there's restaurants. And so this would be a place where it's not just Ron Rivera and the team out there practicing. It's where they can have their training camp. But you could do, what the Cowboys do is they host every high school championship is at their place. It's indoors. It's climate controlled. The games never get rained out. Every high school in that area, it has their graduation there. You think about how they've moved off going to in each school's football stadiums. They all go to George Mason. You could go to this location if it's in Virginia, Exactly. So there's more ways to get people. They recognize the concept of, if you're going to build this, it has to be more than 10 times a year. It's a place people go to, because FedEx sits empty and that land is empty for so many days out of the year. Yeah. It's a waste. It makes sense why people are saying, don't hike up my taxes for this. Right. It's got to be a destination. It's got to be that Reston Town Center with a football stadium. And if you can hold concerts there, pull some of that from from the Verizon Center, or if you pull some of that from the Jiffy Lube Live place, and again, it's indoors, and so you can make sure the concert happens. There's a lot of positive there. So we've got the right idea. Now the problem is where and how are they going to get it done?
and that's the big question about it. I mean, and look, I mean, to one of the positives, it would create, almost 23,000 jobs. Like, it would create a lot of jobs, and that's nice. But the traffic in the area that they're discussing putting it in is no, that's not going to accommodate that at all. So it's quite interesting to try to figure out if they would try to do it. I've heard that they're looking at potentially Springfield now, and then obviously no, I can't. I'm sorry, my mind is blocked by traffic because I went through some of it today around Springfield. Sure. It's kind of like no. If you bring a stadium out here, and especially with what they're trying to bring with the city, that's going to be constant flowing traffic outside of that, and you just it's
I know, and you really got to think almost got to think they don't love their options right now either. Yeah. You know what's really ironic is, for as much as he was loved, Jack Kent Cooke had the hardest time getting land for a stadium as well.
Oh, wow.
Because he wanted to build out in Arlington on what they used to call the Potomac Yards, these old railroad areas, and that's where he really wanted to put it, right over the river. And Virginia eventually said no. And he couldn't, he had no chance in DC. DC's like, get out. So he had to go to the only place that would give him some money, which was Landover, Maryland. Yeah. And at that time when he built it, people, you think we're complaining about Springfield and how far away that is, in Dumfries. People, when that first was announced, the stadium will be in PG County, people were like, what? That's not DC. What are you doing? And then you look at a map and it's really only just outside DC. It's not that far. But he had trouble too. So getting a football stadium is it's been a challenge. And I gotta think that they too are looking at this saying that these, Springfield can't be the best option. There's not the metro out there that, it is too congested. I think they'd love to build it back in DC, but DC is saying no. Yeah. And as much as all the fans want it back at RFK's site, the DC is saying absolutely not. They're saying no to Dan Snyder, but they're also saying that's not what this neighborhood needs. We don't need a stadium. We need something more. We need economic development that will help the people around here with shops and restaurants and making our area better, building up the value of our land, not putting a stadium on here. So that's not an option, So, I still kind of think that the Loudoun area still may be where they're looking at, with all the metro coming, that might help with some traffic, but it's not easy. Although I will say this, something to think about. We think that there's this deadline of 2027 because that's when the lease runs out at FedEx. But I ask you this: what is Prince George's County going to do with that land? Who's this? Right. They're not going to flip it so quickly that they're ready to tear that thing down. RFK Stadium is still standing. Yep. And nothing's been in there for at least 10 years. Right. If not more. So it's not like, oh my gosh, if they don't get this built in 3 years, we're going to have no place to stay. We're going to have to go play at Nats Park. We're going to have to go play at Herndon High School for some games. It's like, it's not like they're going to have nowhere to go. They can lease back the land to PG County to utilize it while they figure this out. And then the whole thing might be is, do they just end up having to build right there as well, where there's already a concrete jungle and they can build something?
Yeah. And that it makes you think. But one of the issues, because there has been a little bit of holdup, there has been, in Congress, in those things. But one of the issues that they cited is what we talked about before, like with Landover. The public reaction has really been underwhelming. People don't want it. You know what I mean? And a lot of the people that I've asked, or I've talked to, or you've talked to me, the thing you can't escape is the traffic. Traffic is already bad now. Yeah. You know what I mean? And when you add it on, you're from this area, you know what it's like. So you add it on, and they're trying to do everything they can with, 28 and in the Greenway and the toll roads and everything, like 66 from DC to DC border all the way to Tyson's from like 9 to 5 is now toll all the way. You know what I mean? And they're trying to do all those to help. But again, like you said, people are like, look, I don't want my tax dollars to going to this or that. They don't want that. And now it's you've talked about it, and I'm going to come back to you. You know, we talked about, you know, maybe not potentially getting the votes right now or right away, and now all of a sudden this was supposed to be a $3 billion thing to manufacture, and we might not even be getting all that funded. They might even be putting all that funds up for that. You know, this whole conversation might be a moot point. So
it is.
Talk to me about that, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's all speculation right now, and it's one of those things where kind of like when Cook had problems. Everyone wants a new stadium, just not in my backyard.
Right.
Is exactly that's the whole area's mentality. Oh yeah, you need a new stadium. No, don't put it back where I live. Here. No, I don't want that traffic. So that's the challenge. Now the issue that they had was at some point Virginia was the front runner because Virginia had said that they're going to put some money there because they're seeing it from land development, from getting housing revenue. So they're like, this could be something for us. However, Dan Snyder is not good business.
No.
And Jack Del Rio isn't helping things when he says what he says. And so last week, the Virginia Assembly said, we think we're going to vote on this later, which means because they're making their budget for next year. And they're, it's like, do they allocate a certain amount into a stadium fund? And they said, we think we're going to hold off on this. We'll reconvene in about a week or two. Which basically means they didn't have the yes votes. That's why they didn't want to vote. Right. And then all of a sudden today, the Virginia Assembly said, not this year. Mm-hmm. We are like, they got squashed. Yeah. So the Commanders have no money from Virginia now, and which in all honesty, they probably need to put a product on the field to try and change people's mindsets. Winning is going to change things. It could change things because right now Dan Snyder is at the lowest of the low of his ownership, and ain't nobody going to give him money, and nor does he deserve it. But maybe you win a little bit, maybe people start feeling good and go, oh yeah, that was pretty fun this fall. That run was kind of fun. That January game when we beat Dallas at home, that was kind of fun. So that may help them out a little bit.
Yeah, and Nathan, sounds like the Orioles fiasco right now.
Well, yeah.
Thanks for watching. If you like that clip, be sure to check out the other great content from the Let's Talk Football community. And as always, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when more great content like this becomes available.